is story time. When I was 7 years old, my father told me that I couldn't leave the yard. He set up boundaries, and at the time, I didn't understand why he was doing that. But he would say, when it's dark, I want you to come in. When the street lights pop on, I want you to come in. I don't care if you guys are riding your bikes down the road. It was like a little bitty area in front of our house that we could ride on, where there weren't cars and it wasn't busy. But in front of the house was a very busy street. So my dad said, okay, you can't go past this certain tree, and you certainly can't go past the sidewalk and cross the busy street by yourself. And these are the boundaries that I'm setting for you, and I want you to obey me. Well, I was listening to the devil when the devil told me that my dad was trying to hide something fantastic and wonderful from me. That if I went beyond the boundaries, I would jump into this wonderful, exotic type world that's full of every childhood's fantasy. Okay, in my mind I thought, what is he hiding from me? What is he hiding from me? Why can't I cross these boundaries? So one day when my dad was at work, I did. I crossed the street on my bike. I made it past the busy street. I was so proud of myself, and I went around the block where there was a store on the main block, and it was called the Sundries, and they had like all kinds of little toys, and it was nicely air conditioned on the inside, and they had candy to look at. I wanted to go in there and spend my allowance, so I went in there and I was looking for some candy, and I bought my candy. I was so excited. I felt so grown up. And all the while I'm doing this, I knew that it was wrong. I knew in my heart that God was telling me to go back. But I kept pushing away his voice, and I'm like, wait. I just want to get my candy, and then I'll ride home, and it'll be that easy. Nothing bad will happen. It'll be easy. So I leave the store with my candy in my hand and a smile on my heart, thinking I got away with the best thing ever. And right as soon as I started to cross the street, I got hit by a truck. I'm not even joking you. I got hit by a truck, and I know that God was there and angels were there, and because what happened was, I don't know how fast he was going. Probably, I want to say about maybe 8 or 10 miles an hour, which doesn't seem like much, but for a 7-year-old child on a small bike, you can imagine, like, it scared me bad. And he saw me, apparently, and put on his brakes, and I heard the squealing, and right as soon as I looked up, he tapped me, and I fell over. And so it wasn't a hard hit, but it was enough to scare me. And the guy jumped out of his truck, that poor man. He was probably in his early 30s, and he's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you hurt? And he's looking me up and down, making sure that I didn't have any cuts and bruises, and I was so embarrassed, and I felt so convicted, you guys, so convicted. And I stood up and I said, I'm fine. He said, where are your mom and dad? You know, let me see if I can find them. And I said, no, I'm fine. And he goes, are you sure? And he tried to get my attention, but then the street started to get busy, so then he went back into his truck, but there were other people watching, and he looked like he had seen a ghost. He was so white, and I just felt so bad that I did that to that poor man. So then I start to go across the street, and I'm pushing my bike in shame. And I finally make it to my yard, and I sit there on my step. I was thinking to myself, so that's why my dad made boundaries. He set the boundaries to keep me safe, so that I wouldn't get into any trouble, any harm, without him being there to protect me and to help me. And that's where God taught me. You need to listen to your dad. You need to listen to your mom. That God was telling me that I needed to obey him, because if I did, that he would keep me safe, and that his hand would be on my life. So take this as a lesson. Obey your parents. They want to keep you safe to the children out there. And obey God to the children and adults out there, because God does everything in his best interest for you. When he gives you guidelines, when he gives you boundaries, that's why he says to love him with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Because if we do those two things, if we obey those two things, then everything else will fall into place. Then we're obeying God's heart, and he will walk you and guide you and teach you about his commands and what his commands are for your life, and to obey him. And those who obey Jesus are wise men and women and children. So take it from me, God is not hiding something from you. If he tells you no, God is not hiding something wonderful and great. If he closes the door on you, he does it, okay, because he's looking out for your best interest. He knows the future, you guys. He knows everything. everything that is going on in your heart, your mind, your soul. You can't hide a thing. He knows everything about your life, every single detail. So the wise thing to do is to trust Jesus. Okay, I'll see you in my next story time. God bless.